Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're tackling something pretty big, the next evolution of AI. We're not just talking about AI that knows stuff. We're talking about AI that has, well, wisdom. It's about moving past simple fact finders and creating real digital expert advisors. You want to see where most AI today just kind of falls apart? Ask it a really big strategic question. Something like this. The chatbots we all use every day, they're just not built for it. Sure, they can pull up articles and data, but a real game plan? Not a chance. And that right there highlights a huge gap, doesn't it? We want AI to be this high-level advisor, but the tech behind most chatbots is, well, it's hitting a wall. It's fantastic at digging up information, but synthesizing all of that into actual usable wisdom, that's where it really struggles. So, to solve this, we really have to look at a pretty major shift in how AI is built. See, most systems you interact with today use something called Retrieval Augmented Generation. We just call it RAG. And you can basically think of it like a super smart search engine. It finds relevant bits of text to answer your question. But the future is something else entirely. It's called Knowledge Augmented Generation, or KAG. And here's maybe the best way to think about the difference. A RAG system. It's like a librarian, a great one. It can find you exactly the right book on the shelf. But a KAG system, that's like an expert who's already read all the books, totally understood them, and can now sit down with you and give you tailored advice for your specific problem. See the difference? It doesn't just retrieve info, it actually understands it. Okay, so how in the world does KAG pull this off? How does it get to that deeper level of understanding? Well, the secret, it lies in this really cool concept at its core. It's called a wisdom graph. Now, a wisdom graph is way more than just a database full of facts. You have to think of it more like a dynamic network, one that's actually built to map out an expert's entire thought process. It's not just storing individual concepts, it's connecting them, preserving all those complex relationships between ideas. It's really trying to mimic how a real expert thinks and reasons. So, what are we even talking about when we say AI wisdom? Well, it's actually broken down into these key parts. It all starts with raw knowledge, right? The basic facts and principles. Then you layer on experience, data on what's actually worked in the past. From there, the system starts to find insight by spotting new patterns in all that chaos. All of that gets synthesized into a core of wisdom. And that wisdom is what guides a decision, which is always grounded in a real-world situation. And this is where it gets really, really powerful. This is not a static system. No way. When a decision gets made, the outcome, whether it was good or bad, feeds right back into the graph. It's this constant feedback loop that enriches its knowledge, deepens its experience, and sharpens its insights. It is always learning, just like a human expert would. Okay, let's make this whole thing a bit more concrete and delicious. Let's use a pizza analogy. So, knowledge is just having the recipe for the pizza. Simple enough. Experience, that's knowing from making it a dozen times that your oven runs hot and always burns the crust. But insight? That's the creative leap. That's realizing that if you add a little bit of honey to the crust, it'll caramelize perfectly instead of just burning. That's the magic spark. All right, so how does a tasty pizza analogy actually translate into a powerful tool for business? Let's take it and apply it right back to that super tough question we started with: how do you beat your competition? So here you can see how we map those abstract ideas directly onto the kinds of data you'd use in a real competitive analysis project. Knowledge becomes your hard market data and industry reports. Experience is the results from all your past marketing campaigns, what worked, what didn't. Insight can be pulled from analyzing really messy, chaotic data, like, say, social media sentiment. The situation is the current landscape, like what your competitors' weaknesses are right now. You feed all of that into the system, and out comes a strategic decision. Okay, so is building a system like this really worth all the trouble? What are the real tangible advantages of a KG approach over a standard RAG system? Let's break down the key differences. Well, for starters, it actually understands complex relationships. That gives you much deeper context and way more accurate, noise-free answers. It's also incredibly scalable. And it can handle those really complex questions, the ones that require connecting multiple dots, the kind of thing that just stumps normal systems. Plus, it integrates all your data, so you get a truly holistic view of everything. Let me give you a really specific example. Vector-based RAG systems, they are notoriously bad with numbers. Like, really bad. If you ask a RAG system about a company's revenue growth, it's probably just going to spit back a huge paragraph it found, where the information is buried somewhere in the middle. It basically makes you do all the work. A KG system, on the other hand, can actually query its structured data, find the revenue figures for the 2 specific years you asked about, do the math, and just give you the exact number. Boom, 15.23%. No fluff, no long paragraphs to read, just the precise quantitative answer you actually needed. And this is the real game changer. It's the difference between someone handing you a massive research binder and just giving you the direct, verifiable piece of evidence. This is what enables true evidence-based decision-making, and that's absolutely critical for any serious business strategy. And this brings us to what might be the most important takeaway of all. This idea that wisdom isn't some trophy you just earn and put on a shelf. It's a muscle you have to exercise. And that's exactly what this kind of AI is. It's not a static product you build once. It's a living system. Remember that constant feedback loop we talked about? Well, because of that, the whole system is designed to continuously get better. The more data and outcomes you feed it, the more connections it's able to make, and the more valuable and expert its guidance becomes over time. It literally gets wiser. So all of this leaves us with a final and pretty provocative thought. As we're building these systems that can learn, adapt, and actually grow wiser from a constant flood of new information, are we on a path to creating an AI that could one day surpass the very human experts it was built to help?